Um, this question is basically on the alcohol. I have somebody who is close to me, and they drink every evening as a stress reliever, and but he's been on a low-carb diet for years, and of course, and runs like about 30 miles a week, and he doesn't lose weight around certain areas, and I've told him, you know, you just got to stop drinking.
Yeah.
And so what are some ways that I might be able to, because he says, you know, well, it says there's no carb in alcohol. I said, but it does turn to sugar.
Right.
So I was wondering if you might help me just a little bit with a couple of course, it's coming from me, so maybe.
Yeah, right. But I did write about it on the blog about maybe a week ago, alcohol and the ketogenic diet. Now, when you drink alcohol, so we know that there's protein, carbs, fat, and there's also something called acetate. And when you consume alcohol, it produces acetate in your body. And acetate is totally toxic, so that's what we're going to metabolize first, okay? And it holds on to everything else that you're consuming at that time. So on average, it lowers fat metabolism by 73% just after a drink. But more than anything, alcohol increases estrogen, and that's why a beer belly, it's not a beer belly, it's an estrogen belly, just like a postmenopausal woman suffers from. It's an estrogenic toxic effect. We know that alcohol produces estrogen, and that's why certain cancers are estrogenic and things like that. But if more than, like you mentioned, there's certain areas that he can't get rid of, that's estrogen, and men can become estrogen dominant just like women can, and I see it in all ages of like 18-year-old girls and boys to it could be older men, that it's estrogen dominance, and that's alcohol producing estrogen. What's interesting is if you do the breath ketone tester, does anybody test their ketones? Anybody use a breathalyzer? That's kind of dying off. We tried that for a while, but we're going back to the blood ketone testers, which is disappointing, but there's a lot of false readings in the breath ketone testers. If you drink I had a client, he's like, Maria, I need to have a glass of wine every single night, otherwise I do not blow ketones in the morning. I'm like, yeah, that's because it's just like a police breathalyzer. Since I live the keto lifestyle, if I would get pulled over right now and I would have to blow into a breathalyzer, I'd probably be questioned because I'd be blowing in ketosis. So that's why a lot of people are testing wrong. So that's, if he's testing with a breathalyzer, change to the blood ketones.
I brought Adkin bars with me just to manage my food,
let me
so it's
see
easy.
It. I'm gonna go underneath the water.
Yeah, looking at the carbs.
Okay, so who counts net carbohydrates? Who counts total carbohydrates? Count total. Net is a crock of, it's not good. It's not true. Fiber is, a really good book is called The Fiber Menace. I also wrote about this on my blog. But a lot of times you'll see net carbohydrates on, who knows what Quest bars are? Okay, it'll say like 2 net carbohydrates. Have you eaten the cookie dough Quest bar? Yummo, right? It tastes so good. It is bad for you. Okay, let's go there first of all. But let's go back to the Atkins bar. Okay, the net carbohydrate or the total carbohydrates are 23 grams of carbohydrates. You know how much peanut butter cups are? 2 of them. About 27 grams of carbohydrates. I'd rather have peanut butter cups. And second of all, these are also known to have soy protein in them, okay? Do you know how damaging soy protein is? Also very estrogenic. Estrogen. When babies are fed soy formula, that's about 5 birth control pills worth a day. Yes. So anything with soy you want to throw away, count the total carbohydrates, and that's what I'm going to cover in this class. And also whey protein that's found in the Quest bars and other low-carb bars, that's also dairy. So you'd want to cut out the dairy for a couple weeks to see if that's affecting your blood sugar and things like that. But yeah, this says 3 grams of net carbohydrates. That's what it advertises. But that's why.
You have changed my life. I have a pituitary tumor, and I contacted you for a consultation in 2013. Try not to cry. And I am off my tumor meds, and my tumor is shrunk to microscopic size. So thank you.
You're welcome. I'll never forget you, Juanita.
I am always inspired to listen to how you do your diet for the day. Can you tell us what you do when you wake up in the morning and how you eat?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Juanita. What I do in the morning is I am an early bird. I always have been. Even when I was in high school, I worked at coffee shops and made muffins in the morning. But I still wake up early. But now I actually jump onto the computer and I work. And I usually have early morning clients. Whether a lot of times the time changes, I have to, do like 6 a.m. Phone consults with someone in Europe or whatever, maybe. And then I usually work until about 8 a.m. And I usually run at that time from about 8 to 9. And then I usually lift weights from about 9 to 9:30, and then I eat. And I usually eat something with hollandaise sauce because I just love it so much. But it's usually like eggs and, like a protein bread or toast or something like that with butter. Sometimes bacon. It all changes, that type of stuff. And it depends on if I'm experimenting with a cookbook. The other day, we all had chocolate breakfast custard. And these are all some like different recipes that we're doing, like mini quiches or things like that. But it's usually something with hollandaise sauce just because I love it so much. And it's a perfect fat food, so eggs with a lot of hollandaise. And then going through the day, and that would probably be, about, I don't know what I'm doing here. That would be about 1,500 calories. And then going through the day, going back to work, sometimes we homeschool, so I'll try to fit in a lesson there. Craig usually does most of the homeschooling. But then in the afternoon, about 3 o'clock, we usually do burgers on the grill, or we love brats, living in Wisconsin, that type of stuff. Do it maybe a side salad with my super salad dressing, something like that. And then that's the end of, I do always have a dessert, I'll admit to that. I usually have ice cream or something like that. I love creamy type stuff, cheesecakes, that type of thing. And my trick is that I always make a dessert and then I keep it in individual portions in the freezer. And that way, like if I go to, I used to be really tempted by sugar, and I never nagged my husband to be keto at all. And this just totally happened by accident, or he just just by my demonstration, he became keto. I never told him to stop drinking alcohol, anything like that. I didn't want to be a nag wife. And when we would go to dinner, I wasn't plagued by his French fries. I wasn't plagued by the bun on his burger. But when he ordered creme brulee, oh man, I was like, I have to go to the bathroom. But what it taught me, and it helps clients too, is I have that at home ready. So after like a wedding, I can say no to the cake. I've never been a cakey person. I've never been a fan of that. But I can say no to the dessert at any event because you know what? I have the flourless chocolate torte at home. And even if I'm not eating within the intermittent fasting window, I don't care. I'm going to eat something that's ketogenic and not sugar. And it tastes fantastic. And I don't feel like crap the next day. And that's what really always stuck with me is I really was heavy. I wish I had a picture, but I never felt good. I was sad. I probably should have been on antidepressants when I was in high school, but I wasn't. That's what I lived off of. I lived off of skim milk and cereal. A lot of times I had that for dinner too. My dad owned a plumbing business, and my mom helped out with that, so they were always very busy. So I lived off of sugar, and I am now 35 or 36, I can't remember. But I feel better than I ever have before. And I'm a better athlete than I ever was before, too. And that's, to make a long story short, that's basically how I eat. So, and it does depend on if I'm in the process of, writing a book. And if you notice, there are a lot of desserts in here, too, just because that's how I do like to roll. I do like to have dessert. Well, then I don't feel like I, need to cheat. I just prepare ahead of time,
I'm getting a couple of people that have, while they were waiting for their product, started doing the nutritional ketosis.
Yes.
And then they start the keto OS, and they're saying, I'm gaining weight.
Yes.
So I don't know how to answer that.
Okay, I'll answer that for you.
Thank
when
you.
I take keto OS, I gain weight. We often don't change our nutrition until we are uncomfortable on the outside. And I want people to know that keto OS, I feel, is more for pain, chronic illnesses, fibromyalgia, MS, cancer, all of these. There's millions of people suffering from that, right? When it comes to weight loss, I want it to be used as a tool. So if I were to use it for weight loss, I would not take it until I get hungry. So if I weren't hungry until, say, 10 a.m., I would take it then. Because if you take it right away in the morning, you're no longer fasting. Okay? And then push your fasting window for a longer period of time. And using it for a tool to cut out sugar and cut out all of that. But if you're already in ketosis, eating less than 10 grams of carbohydrates, and you're not I think it's wonderful for athletes too. It gave me a ton of energy. I ran faster than I ever could before. I lifted more than I ever could before. But if it's for weight loss, it needs to be used as a tool to help you transition. It's not a simple fix like that. Food is going to be more powerful for weight loss. I'll tell you that.
I like to make everything from scratch. I don't like pre-processed anything, but I don't know how to weigh the carbs. I don't know how to weigh all that. And also, at school for my children, they're very limited at what they can bring in. Mm-hmm. So, they're like, oh, bring in Cheerios or bring in this and bring in that. I hate bringing it into my house because honestly, my kids will take it, sneak in their room and start pile driving the Cheerios in their mouth. And I'm like, what are you doing? And I want to teach them to eat right. So how do I balance what I can bring to school for them, and how do I weigh out what I'm actually making?
So why I make homemade goldfish crackers for my kids. Why wouldn't you be able to bring that? Oh, okay. So I even have a kids cookbook for you, but I have all of that stuff. Again, we were in dire straits with Craig losing his job. You don't have to buy a cookbook. Craig hates he's like, you're the worst marketer ever. But I understand, I have free recipes, probably 700 recipes on the blog, and I still keep putting them out. Goldfish crackers are on there. But, if you're looking for just a kid thing, there's goldfish crackers, whoopie pies, even fruit roll-ups for kids and things like that to make, that healthy lifestyle for the kids too, to bring to their lunches and things like that. What I do is we have these little thermoses that keep things warm, and I'll put chili in there, and then by the time lunch comes, it's warm when we go on zoo adventures or whatever and things like that. And also it keeps things cold, like ice cream for Mom. You think I'm kidding, and I'm not. But I'm sorry, what was your question? So that's... Oh gosh, you're talking to the wrong person. I hated counting carbs, I hated counting calories, I hated counting I don't like to use tools like the breath ketone testers. I'm such a minimalist. It's more about how I feel. But it is interesting that, like, with my meal plans, I even, with vegetables, even like cauliflower rice, cauliflower mashed potatoes, that could easily kick someone who's very damaged out of ketosis because it would put you over that amount. So it's really hard because, again, you can't subtract the fiber. So a lot of people do like broccoli, and they do quite a bit of it. That's probably more than 10 total carbohydrates right there in the broccoli. It just takes time to know the macros. But again, if you would enter it into the website at the ketogenic calculator, it's going to spit that out for you.